welcome to Daily Records. I am Tommy Burton, and we are talking about the Beatles for the month of July, and now we're in the solo careers, and we started with John's first debut album. We're going to start with Paul McCartney's debut album. This is simply called McCartney, released on April 17th, 1970. Now, this was the first sort of major post-Beatles statement, and this album was really, really interesting. Whereas John Lennon's album was sort of this very stark anti-Beatles thing, Paul McCartney's was very similar because it's basically him doing everything in his home studio. He's just playing all of the instruments, and it's just him. So some might say these are kind of souped up home demos, and it does kind of have that charm. Some of the songs are really kind of rough and not very complete. Stuff like Mama Miss America and Hot as Sun, these sort of just instrumental jams. But then you've got some songs that are just really, really very complete. That Would Be Something, the beautiful melodic Junk, Teddy Boy, and the one everybody knows from this album, Maybe I'm Amazed. Now, this was the scheduling of this album was really interesting because it kind of was coinciding with the release of Let It Be. And McCartney later said that the album was recorded during this period of depression. He really didn't know what his future was going to hold. The Beatles were breaking up. He knew this, and so he really just didn't know what to do. So he went and recorded these songs, and then when it finally got released, it really just, that was kind of the nail in the coffin. And so with the release of this album, McCartney announced that they were breaking up. He recorded a lot of it in secrecy, used a lot of home recording equipment there at his home. And he did do some later recording in some of the professional studios in London, but he actually booked those studios under an alias because he didn't know what was going to become of this stuff. Now, Linda, his wife, did contribute some harmonies, mostly just vocal stuff. But for the most part, every instrument you hear on here is Paul McCartney playing on a 4-track. And so he kind of went back to the basics with this, which is kind of what Let It Be was supposed to be about. Now, it was interesting. When the album came out, the critics were really kind of hard on this album. And I think a lot of it had to do more with the backlash of the Paul McCartney's part in the breakup of the Beatles. They kind of were like, these songs, they're not finished. They're sort of halfway done. There's too many instrumentals. And pretty much the general idea is Maybe I'm Amazed was the best song. And that's probably true. I might agree with that. But he had great timing because the album, the publicity for the album really benefited because of the breakup. Because it did go to number 1 in America. It peaked at number 2 in England. And so it's built in legacy. Now, McCartney has done better solo albums. But as a statement, as a solo artist, this is a nice album. It's not going to just blow you away. It's not going to be one of those albums that just screams like, hey, this is a Beatle, and this is the brilliance of the Beatles. But it's nice. It's a pleasant listen. And I think when you kind of get into it for the little sort of home studio charm of it, it is really nice. There's a lot lesser musicians that could make an album like this. So historically, or removing history from it, it's not that bad. It's not brilliant, but not that bad. So McCartney, by Paul McCartney, the first solo album by Paul, is our daily record today. Like, comment, subscribe, share, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's TommyBurton75. In the meantime, I will see you all again tomorrow with another daily record.